Yo, yo, what up, y'all? Today we jumping into some Overwatch. In this one, I'm going to show you guys how to play Echo like an absolute demon. Now, for me, I used to have so much trouble playing Echo. She has a real high skill gap. But once you get her down, once you get the movement down, I'm going to show you guys a couple super important settings to change on her. And then, we'll go over like positioning, how you want to do the abilities, how you want to do her combo. Once you get her movement down, Echo is an absolute monster, especially at the higher levels. If you're Masters, if you're Diamond, if you're top 500, Echo can really become an extreme problem. Even at lower levels, with characters that also fly in the air, like another Echo, like a Pharah, like a Mercy, you can put complete pressure on those characters. And, not only can you challenge the height really easily, but, once you get in there and you get somebody lower than half life, you can absolutely just obliterate them with the beam. So we'll definitely go over the settings, how you want to have everything set up, and a couple important settings that you want to turn on. Then I'm also going to show you guys a couple things about positioning, a couple cheesy things you can do to people, especially people that don't necessarily look up. Because, a lot of the times, especially nowadays in Overwatch, there's, Genji, Sombra, you're getting a lot of tracers. And I personally think Echo is almost the counter to really almost anybody in the game, unless they have like, Widow on the back line looking directly at you, or like a Ashe on the back line. Or even like a real good Cassidy that can hit headshots. Those are probably the only real issues that you're gonna have. But once you get like the float down, once you change your jump settings to where you can actually just go airborne instantly, and you can just completely challenge height, you can get over the top of people, and you can completely harass the backline, this is when Echo becomes really, really fun. So instead of you kind of just standing on the front line, shooting your missiles, trying to get free damage that way, you can actually just completely torment the back line. You can completely torment anybody in the air. And then, especially if you have a Mercy pocket, you are just absolutely chilling. So the first thing I'm going to jump into is the settings. Now, as far as like the aim assist and stuff, this is kind of how I have it set up. The main things that you're going to be wanting to look at is going to be the aim assist window size, and then the aim ease in with everything else on 100. The ease in is ultimately your dead zone. So with no ease in, it's kind of loose on the dead zone, but as you start to turn that up, it gets a lot more stickier. So I would definitely kind of play with that a little bit, see how you like it. The easiest for me is on about 50, but if you turn it up higher, it'll be more stickier, and if you turn it down as low as 0, it's going to be pretty much super loose. Now, another thing that I want to add in is the aim technique. So when you're playing Echo, I think the dual zone is probably the best, only because, if you're doing linear, that's really good for like close range. If you're doing the other one, it's more like far range, but dual zone is kind of both. Now, as far as the settings, you want to go into specifically Echo's hero settings, and you want to turn on hold to use flight. This is extremely important. So the way the flight works, if you don't have hold to use on, what's going to happen is you're going to have to look up, and then you're going to have to jump and then hold the button. Okay, so as you're floating around, people that have seen enough Echoes, people who have played Echo, they kind of know that you have to float up at a certain amount. But if you turn the hold on, now you can kind of do these little super jumps. So you can kind of super jump, hold the flight down, and it makes it really, really easy for you to kind of manipulate how fast you go into the air. And then you kind of just hold the float. So then that way your movement is a little bit more unpredictable. Now, another thing that I like to do as well is I like to fly straight up, and I like to fall down with the missiles. So like, let's say they're holding a wall, or they're coming through some sort of gap like this. You can fly directly up, and then you could float down right on the wall. So then once you actually come to like the opening where they're looking at, you fall down with the missiles, you hit your basic, and then you go straight for the beam. Now, another really important setting that you should turn on that I didn't mention there is going to be duplicate confirmation. So whenever you do your ultimate, typically what has to happen is you have to be looking at the enemy, duplicate them, And then, you know, that's how you kind of go into your ult. And then, you know, people can kind of see when you duplicate, they kind of see who you duplicate, and then you get focused down really, really fast. Now, if you have the duplicate confirmation on, what that allows you to do is you can hit the confirmation on a person, and you can actually confirm your ultimate from around a wall. So in essence, you can actually ult people from around a piece of cover. So then that way, whenever you get into your ultimate, you don't just get instantly beamed down. And also too, if you do it correctly, you don't even have to worry about them seeing, you know, who you're actually duplicating. So here I'll kind of show you what it looks like. So without the duplicate confirmation on, you have to literally be looking at the person, duplicate them that way, and then, you know, you're kind of in their grill already. But with the duplicate confirmation on, you can hit the button once to pick who you want to duplicate, and then you hit the button again, which allows you to duplicate from around the wall. So we'll turn that setting on. We'll kind of show you what that looks like. So, and another cool thing about that too is you can do that out of the sky. You know what I mean? So if you hold the duplicate on a person, you'll have to press the button again in order to confirm the ult, you see? But if you do it correctly, you can actually completely duplicate them in cover. So then that way you're not getting instantly clapped out of your ult. And then they also don't even get to see who got ulted until, you know, you come around the corner and you start shooting. So both of those settings, the hold to use flight and then the duplicate confirmation, those two settings really help me take my Echo gameplay over the top. Now, as far as your abilities and the combo, so what you always want to do, of course, is try to hit them with the missiles. When you hit them with the missiles, that'll bring them down to half life, and then you just use the beam in order to confirm. Now, if you didn't know, the beam, it has an extra 175% damage if the target is under half life. So what you want to do is you want to mix in basics between everything, because with Echo, the abilities don't cancel the basic ability. So if you do a basic first and then missile, basic first and then beam, you actually can get a little bit more free damage on her, which allows you to kind of just instantly one-clip people, especially like Tracer, Sombra, any support. It makes it really easy for you to just turn around, absolutely obliterate them, and then you don't have to kind of worry about that person harassing the back line, because after you one-clip them a couple times, trust me, they'll probably just switch characters. Now, another thing with the jump, you know, you kind of want to just get a little bit creative with it. You know, you could jump up, fall down, do the missile. You could walk straight into somebody with the missile, jump up, beam them over top. There's a couple different variations that you can kind of do with her abilities, but all I would say is just try your best to stay unpredictable, because the easiest Echoes to kill are the ones who just float up on the back line. They try to shoot the missiles, basic, fall down, float up on the back line. You know what I mean? So you kind of want to get a little bit creative with it. Maybe sometimes float up, maybe sometimes jump up and fall down. Just a couple different ways that you can kind of go about it. Now, another thing I will add in too, which I'll show you guys with the missiles. So what I notice is, you know, when you're in somebody's grill and you're trying to fight them, the left stick, if you're moving your left stick around when you're shooting the missiles, they kind of fire out in a like a horizontal line, which of course, you know, with the more missiles you hit somebody with, the more damage you're going to do. So what I've noticed is if you either just move directly forward, like hold your left stick forward while you shoot the missiles, or you move directly backwards while you're shooting the missiles, it allows them to shoot in a straight line, and then that's how people absolutely clap you from far away with Echo. So kind of show you guys an example here. So whenever you shoot those missiles, just try to hold forward or try to hold backwards. So instead of you getting that horizontal line, you kind of just get a straight shot line, and it makes it really easy for you to hit people from afar. Another cool thing about that too is you can also do that while you're in the air. So if you jump up and you fall straight down and shoot the missiles, you can get a straight line missile shot on them that way. Or if you're floating in the air and you hold backwards, you can kind of do it that way, or you can hold forward and do it. And you know, once somebody gets hit with those missiles, that's when they kind of start panicking. And you know, if you're in the air and they're not necessarily looking up, it makes it really easy to get free kills on Echo. You know, since I've changed these settings, I've had 50 game or 50 elimination games, 70 elimination games, just absolute insane amount of damage on Echo. Now, another thing I'll add in too with her abilities, of course, she's not a hit scan character like a Soldier, like a Sojourn, like a Bastion. So her balls actually have like flight delay. So what I'll do with the basics when I'm shooting, you don't necessarily want to shoot where they're at. You kind of want to shoot where they're going. You know what I mean? So if they're strafing to the left, I'll kind of aim my cursor a little bit in front of them, like where they're moving. Or, you know, especially, you know, if they're moving to the right or moving backwards, you kind of want to aim where they're going, not where they're at. And you'll definitely get a ton more damage on Echo. So hopefully this tips helped you guys out. You know, just turning on those two settings, the duplicate confirmation and the hold to float, really up my Echo gameplay a lot. She's actually starting to become my main. She's super duper fun to play. One other thing I'll add in as well too, when you're fighting with Echo, especially when you're low life, instead of you using your ult right away, I would kind of go in there and try to get one shot and then duplicate, because then you're going to go back to full life and then you'll be able to just get right back into the fight. So hopefully these tips helped you guys out. Hopefully you guys go get some kills on Echo. As always, I appreciate you guys checking me out, and I'll see you on that next vid. Peace.
Done. Disintegrated.